Hello everyone and welcome to the pond. My name is Frank, aka Bullfrog TCG, and today we are taking a look at Lee Sin. Now, Lee Sin is in a bit of a weird spot at the moment because he shares his colors with Master Yi, but Master Yi is from the Proving Grounds box, and the Proving Grounds set and the legends within it are supposed to be kind of like powered down compared to the ones from the base set, but Master Yi is at the top of the meta while Lee Sin is not. Now, why is that? Is Lee Sin simply lacking support, or is there still some super secret hidden tech out there waiting to be found? Well, that is what we are trying to find out today. So without further ado, let's take a look at the deck list. Okay, so Lee Sin, Blind Monk, 1 exhaust, buff a friendly unit. Now, this is a very simple ability, but it is one that you're going to be able to get off like almost every turn. But at the same time, it also has kind of a low ceiling because it is capping off at 1 buff per turn, which is just like 1 might. So it's not like something that's just gonna win the game out of nowhere, like on its own. So to kind of build this legend, I like to have enough of a reason to play this legend instead of like say Master Yi, for example, since he is in the same colors. You kind of have to find the cards that synergize the best with this ability. And we have 2 of those in the deck, and one of those is the Lee Sin champion himself. So Lee Sin Ascetic. He is a 5 energy, 1 green power, and 5 might. He has shield, and he can exhaust to buff himself, and then he says, I can have any number of buffs. So this is kind of like, if you can keep this guy alive, this is going to get enormous. Because with its own ability and the legend ability, that's 2 buffs a turn. And we have some cards that synergize really well with this. But let's go run through the spells first. So we play, I mean, if you've seen my videos before, you know that I love these 3 cards: Charm, Defy, Discipline. Charm is basically just a kill a unit for 1, because it can move stuff into your battlefield and then you can just kill it off. Defy just protects your guys from all sorts of removal spells, most of them, except like the really big ones. And then Discipline is just a good spell because it gives something +2 reaction speed, so you can react to like removal spells like outside of combat, and then it also replaces itself, so just a really solid card. And then we're playing Challenge. Now this card combined with the Lee Sin is just going to get rid of anything in the game, because Challenge says for 2 energy and 1 power, it is an action, and it says choose a friendly unit and an enemy unit. They deal damage equal to their mights to each other. So if you've taken some time to build this Lee Sin up and you play the Challenge, then I mean, unless they have a bunch of pump spells, whatever you target is going to get removed. So this is just a really efficient spell in this deck, because you can kind of almost guarantee that your thing survives while theirs doesn't. So that's why we're running this as a 3 of. And then we also run Block as a 2 of, just a good card, like hidden, protector stuff during combat, which is also why I don't play it as a 3 of, because I would rather play stuff that protects it outside of combat, because our deck is a bit fragile to like losing our board, and this only helps during the combat, which is probably where we're the strongest. So for that reason, I'm only playing it as a 2 of. But it is a good card still. It gives a unit shield +3 and then tank, which just kind of protects all the other guys. So I do like it, but for now I'm only running it as a 2 of. So for the units, we are running Sunlit Guardian as a 3 of. This is 3 energy, 3 might, shield, and tank. So this is just a good number. On defense is going to be a 4 of. Not 4 of. On defense is going to be a 4 might unit, which also protects your other guys because he has tank, so he has to be dealt damage first. So it's just a good protective card. Pit Rookie is also one of the cards that kind of synergize with like the Lee Sin, for example, and one other card that I'm going to get to. And he says, or she says, I guess, for 2 energy, she is a 2 might unit that says when you play me, buff another friendly unit. So again, it's just a simple, it's basically the leader ability or the legend ability on a stick. So yeah, we're also playing this one only as a 2 of, because it doesn't synergize with our whole deck. It synergizes with a few cards, and if we don't have those, then this doesn't really do much. And then of course we are playing Carnivorous Snapvine. When you play me, choose an enemy unit at a battlefield. We deal damage equal to our mights to each other. Now I am only running this as a 2 of just because in this deck in particular, I do have some other units that are kind of filling this spot. For example, the Lee Sin and also the next unit that I'm going to get to. So that's why I'm only playing it as a 2 of. But it is a really good card. It just gets rid of your opponent's stuff while also developing a body of our own. And then the other big like synergy card we are playing in the deck is Udyr. Now Udyr says 6 energy, 1 power, 6 might. Spend my buff. Choose one you've not chosen this turn. Deal 2 to a unit at a battlefield. Stun a unit at a battlefield. ready me, and give me ganking this turn. So this is just so flexible, and it's kind of like, along with the Lee Sin champion, it's kind of the reason why you even want to play this legend. Because like you can do 2 damage to get rid of small stuff, you can stun a unit at a battlefield to kind of get rid of bigger stuff, you can ready it to potentially conquer another battlefield at the same turn, and the same with ganking, like you can use this to hold and then it can just move over to the other battlefield, for example. So it's just so flexible, and that's why I really like this card. But it is so important to keep it alive. Like if you play this out and it dies, you've lost so much tempo. And as I said before, that is kind of one of the things that this deck is struggling with, is kind of keep stuff alive and keep a board presence. But if this guy survives, it is so good. And then we're also playing 4 Kiana. We're playing 3 Kiana. But she is a 4 energy, 1 power, 4 might unit that has deflect. And then when I conquer, draw 1 or channel 1 rune exhausted. So this is, I mean, if you're playing orange or body, I think this is just a must play. It's just a good card. Like, deflect is so good against Kai'Sa. Like, Kai'Sa is one of our worst matchups because she just deals with our stuff so efficiently. And this just taxes Kai'Sa so hard. And if you can like keep buffing her at the same time, like for example with a discipline, where they have to kind of use more spells to get rid of her, that's just going to benefit you. So yeah, Kiana is just a really, really good card. And then when you conquer, you can just choose, do you want to draw 1 card, do you want to channel 1, you can kind of be flexible with that. So yeah, just solid card. And then we're playing 2 or 3 Stalwart Poro. It is just a 2 energy, 2 might unit with shield. It's just a good early draw, gets you a point, and then it's a bit bigger when it's holding or trying to defend. So yeah, just a good card. Clockwork Keeper to kind of replace itself. As you play me, you may pay 1 green power as an additional cost if you do draw 1. So yeah, just replace itself. It kind of gets on board presence while also maintaining card advantage. And then 3 Wielder of Water. 3 energy, 2 might. While I'm attacking or defending alone, I have +2 might. So this is also just good numbers, like 3 for 4 on defense and on attack. It's just a really good card early. I mean, it's not that great when you draw it late, but I mean, that goes for all of these like little guys. So yeah, like early on, this is just a really solid card. And then for the final card, we are playing a gear, and that is Zhonya's Hourglass. Now, as I said before, one of the most important things in this deck is kind of to try to maintain board presence. And the Zhonya's Hourglass is so good at doing that. And it also synergizes really well with the Lee Sin, because this says, the next time a friendly unit would die, kill this instead. Recall that unit exhausted. Which means, if you like buffed up the Lee Sin and they manage to remove it somehow, if you crack the Zhonya's Hourglass, the Lee Sin is actually not going to leave the board. It's just going to get recalled. Which means it's going to maintain its buffs. So if you've buffed this like 17 times, if that Zhonya's Hourglass goes off, it is going to keep the 17 buffs. So that's just really, really good. And that's a really good synergy. And the same thing goes for like the Udyr as well. If you have a buff on that, that's going to keep that. So yeah, Zhonya's Hourglass is just a really important card in this deck, because if our stuff gets removed, we really struggle to get back in the game if our early board gets removed. So this is just a really important card. And then for the battlefields, we are playing 1 Monastery of Hirana. When you conquer here, you may spend a buff to draw 1. Just a simple synergy card. Spends a buff, draws a card. The Dreaming Tree. The first time you choose a friendly unit with a spell here each turn, draw 1. This is especially good with the Discipline, because that basically Discipline is going to draw us 2 cards. So that's really good. So you can also kind of like, even if the unit is going to die, you can just fire this off at the unit you have at the battlefield, just draw 2 off it, which is really good. And then finally we're playing Obelisk of Power. The main reason I'm playing Obelisk of Power is to be able to go Kiana turn 1 if we're going second. This could also help our opponent, but I think for exactly that, for playing this on turn 1, I think it's worth it. And then for the runes, we're just playing an even split of 6 body runes and 6 calm runes. So, it is time to put Lee Sin to the test. Is he as bad as people says he is, or does he have some hidden potential yet to be discovered? Well, let's try to find out. We're gonna jump into some games, and then I will see you at the end for the wrap-up. So, for our first game, we are playing against Teemo. Now, as you can see, I forgot to hit the record button, so we are kind of in the middle of a game here. But, I mean, on his first turn, he wasn't 3 energy because we have the Obelisk of Power out. So on his first turn, he developed a Ravenbloom student, and then he used the Teemo ability to get the Teemo champion from his champion zone into his hand. And then on my first turn, I just played the Sunlight Guardian, and then I used the Lee Sin ability to buff him up. Okay, let's see what happens next. Okay, he's gonna play a stack deck. Classic Teemo card, or classic purple card, I guess. It's just good in every purple deck. Hopefully it doesn't hit a Nocturne off this. That would be really bad for us. Okay, it does not. That's good. Okay, he's gonna conquer with a Ravenbloom Student, get a point. And then it's gonna play out a Traveling Merchant. And just pass to us. So it does have 2 energy up. But we are gonna go in with the Sunlight Guardian because, I mean, he wouldn't have attacked with a Ravenbloom Student if he didn't have something to deal with our Sunlight Guardian, which, like on board now, is just gonna kill his Ravenbloom Student. So it does probably have something in the sense. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of that, kind of see what that is, and then move on from there. Because we do have the Defiant to deal with whatever he tries to come at us with. And yeah, that is a smokescreen that would very cleanly have dealt with our Sunlight Guardian, but we have a Defiant, so we're just going to conquer that, or we're just going to counter that, I mean. And then we are going to conquer the battlefield. Then we're just going to play a Clockwork Keeper. Use the ability. Now here I actually misplayed because Clockwork Keeper can only recycle a calm rune, like a green rune, but I recycled a body rune instead, so I'm just gonna fix that here. Yeah, a bit of like kind of goofing around with the runes here. Okay, there we are. So we're gonna draw into a Carnivorous Snapvine, and then we are gonna buff him up with the Lee Sin ability, and then just pass the turn. So we do have. I kind of like being in this position because the Sunlight Guardian on itself is, like, with the buff, it's going to be a 5 might unit on defense, and then we also have the Discipline to kind of, if he tries to do something funny. So yeah, we're feeling pretty good here. Okay, and he's going to play the Riftbound Rex. Now that is one of the cards we can't actually deal with. I am kind of thinking about playing the challenge here just to get rid of the Traveling Merchant before he gets to use the ability. But I think I decide against it in the end just because I want to have the challenge to deal with something bigger than a Traveling Merchant. Besides that, the Traveling Merchant I can just deal with on the next turn with the Clockwork Keeper. So yeah, it's not worth it. I'm just going to let the Sunlight Guardian die. Okay, he's going back and forth between attack with the Traveling Merchant. He decides not to, just because he... I mean, and that also signifies to me that he doesn't have a hidden card in hand, which kind of gives us a lot of information, because if he did have a hidden card, like for example a Fae or a Teemo, for example, then he probably could have done that attack, but he decided against it, which, I mean, we'll take that. So we are going to attack with a Clockwork Keeper to get 1 point. And then we are going to take the moment to play out the Lee Sin and give him buff with the leader. Now if the Lee Sin survives until next turn, then that's where we can kind of start building him up. Okay, it's going to attack with a Riptide Rex. We can't really do much about that. The Clockwork Keeper had already done its job. So, and then it's going to hide a card. Okay. And he's just gonna pass with 5 energy up, which is always scary against any deck. But we decide to just, you know, chill with the Lee Sin a bit. We can take our time to kind of build this up. We're not in that much of a rush. Yeah, so we decided to go for the challenge here. So the thing about this is that challenge is like they deal damage to each other, and our Lee Sin is an 8 and his Riptide Rex is a 6. So we are gonna kill the Riptide without like having to sacrifice our own unit. But if he would have a smokescreen here to give our Lee Sin -4, then the Discipline in hand would not actually make the Lee Sin survive. So I think this is a very risky play, because if he did have the smokescreen, he would just 2-for-1 us, which, you know, would be less than desirable, because we don't really have anything on board except the Lee Sin. So yeah, I think this was a really risky play. Yeah, and then unfortunately for him, he only had a Fight or Flight, but the Fight or Flight moves an enemy unit from the battlefield to its base, but the challenge doesn't care about where the unit is placed, so even if he does move it, the spell is still going to go through. So yeah, that's really good value for us, and really lucky that he didn't have the smokescreen, because if he did have that, then our Lee Sin would be gone as well, and that would not be good. So yeah, got lucky there. I decided to play out the Clockwork Keeper just to draw an extra card and get another unit on the board. But okay, now we're feeling pretty good. Okay, and he plays a Mind Splitter. So the Mind Splitter is kind of bad here because, or bad for us, because the card we drew off the Clockwork Keeper was the Charm, and the Charm would be a really good way to get rid of that Mind Splitter. But unfortunately, he is probably going to take that one, because between the Discipline and the Charm, Charm is definitely the most valuable one. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. Okay, he's going to attack with the Traveling Merchant, and then hide a card. We're going to draw into another Carnivorous Snapvine, and yeah, we're going to play it out. We're just going to develop more board while also getting rid of his stuff, and this way also we kind of force him to use the hidden card he has without being able to target any of our stuff. So that's just really good for us. Yeah, that's just going to allow us to conquer here, and then conquer here with the Lee Sin. We actually decided not to conquer with the Lee Sin just because, I mean, it is at an 8 now. And then with the Lee Sin ability, like the legend ability, he could potentially be at a 9. But the Mind Splitter is at a 7, and that is one smokescreen away for just blowing us out. So for that reason, I am just still gonna keep chilling here to just keep building the Lee Sin up. So now he's at 10. So every turn we do this is gonna get harder and harder for him to remove it. Yeah, he's gonna play another stack deck. Hopefully don't hit a Nocturne. He does not hit a Nocturne. Okay. Maybe he's not running them. And he's going to attack with a Mind Splitter, get rid of the Clockwork Keeper. Nothing much we can do about that. The Clockwork Keeper already did his work. And he's going to play an Ember Monk and a Ravenbloom Student. And he's going to hide a card. Yeah, so now we're kind of going back and forth like, do we attack into the Mind Splitter to kind of try to get rid of that card in hand? Because he doesn't have energy for a smokescreen or anything else. He only has that hidden cards. And we do have the Discipline in hand, so we're feeling pretty safe with this attack here. Okay, so it is a Fight or Flight, so he can move either my unit or his unit back to the battlefield. He decides to move his own back, which I think is smart because that allows him to potentially on the next turn be able to do something with his energy and then remove his Lee Sin, or remove my Lee Sin. So yeah, that's very good for him, and really unfortunate for us because that really sets the Lee Sin up. Sets it up to be destroyed on the next turn. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. And then we're just going to attack conquer with the Carnivorous Snapvine. We're going to buff it up with the Lee Sin Leader, and then play a Sunlit Guardian and pass still with the Discipline up. Now the Discipline is a really good card, but it's not as good when your opponent knows that it's in your hand. So now he knows that he can kind of play around it. And then he's going to play the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. Yeah, this is kind of the card that we did not want him to have. We only have a Discipline up, so the Lee Sin now is at a 7, and then with a Discipline it's going to be a 9. So with the Mind Splitter and the Ravenbloom Student alone, that is just going to allow him to trade with us. Yep, and then he has the Stupefy to give us a -1, and then the Ravenbloom Student triggers off of that, so he's going to get a +1. So that means he is actually going to get this battlefield and keeping one of his own guys alive. So this is, yeah, this is really a blowout. But I mean, you can't really do much about that. The Thousand-Tailed Watcher is just an insane card for blue. So if that comes out, then, you know, this is what tends to happen. So he is going to be able to clear our whole board off that card, which is to be expected. But yeah, like as you can see now in our hand, he is on 6 points. We don't have anything to come out to contest this board or contest the battlefields at least right away. And unless we draw something, then that's just game right there. And yeah, we drew the Charm. I mean, we can move one of his units back, but then he can just reconquer it again on the next turn. So yeah, from this point on, it's just game over. We can't really come back from this. So yeah, that is what happens sometimes. Sometimes your opponent just has the Thousand-Tailed Watcher and your whole game plan just goes down the drain, because that is just such an insane card. But yeah, you can't win them all. Okay, so second game against Kaiser. We are on the Dreaming Tree, which could come in handy because we do have the Discipline in hand to kind of get the Wombo combo off. He is on Void Gate, which is probably the battlefield we're going to try to stay away from, because that just makes it so that all of his spells deal 1 extra damage, which is not what we want. So yeah, but let's see what happens. So we're going to start off with a Clockwork Keeper. I did forget to draw this turn, Like even I am going first, so I should have drawn one, but I forgot that for some reason. And I decided also not to draw off the Clockwork Keeper, just because I don't want to go down to 4. Like if I draw into an Kiana, I want to be able to play it. So that's why I didn't that's why I didn't recycle the draw one there. But okay, he's gonna play Yordle to draw one, and then we are gonna just buff up the Clockwork Keeper and attack. And we're gonna just keep this energy up. We don't really want to get blown out this early, so we are gonna keep up both the Discipline and the Defy. And he's gonna play out a Kaiser, just conquer that battlefield, get a draw, get a point, and then just pass to us. So we are going to play the Discipline, I believe. Yeah, the Discipline on the Clockwork Keeper, draw 1, draw 2 actually because of the Dreaming Tree, so we did get to do it. And then we're gonna use the Charm to charm his Kaiser over to the Clockwork Keeper and just kill it off. So yeah, like in some cases like this, the Charm is just a 1 energy removal spell. It is so good. So yeah, that's really good for us. We're gonna get the Kai's off the battlefield. We're gonna keep our own guy. We're just gonna move it back, just because, you know, a lot of the red removal spells only kill units on the battlefields. And then we're gonna play out the Sunlit Guardian. Now I wish I had a protection spell here, because we are in the danger of getting blown out by a falling star. And then yeah, that is the falling star. That is the card we were afraid of. I mean, because we could also have, I mean, we didn't really have any other good plays that round. I think we just wanted to develop more board. Like we could have played out the Lee Sin instead of getting rid of the Kaiser, but I think getting rid of the Kaiser is just more important to us. So I think we played correctly. He just had the answer to it. And we draw into another Udyr, which is not exactly what we want. Okay, he's gonna go conquering with the Yordle, get 1 point, and then he's gonna play out another Kaiser. Now we want to see, we do get the Kiana. I wish we had that like two rounds earlier. Instead, we're gonna play out the Udyr, and then with the kind of trauma from getting blown out by the falling star from last turn, we are gonna buff it up, because I could have held 1 energy for the Defy. But the problem with that is that the Defy can't counter Falling Star, because Falling Star has 2 power cost and Defy only counters 4 energy cost and 1 power cost at the max. So since Udyr now is at 7, the Falling Star is not going to be able to get him out. So yeah, I think this is pretty safe this round. Okay, he's going to get 1 point for holding with the Yordle. Okay, he's gonna go conquering with the Kaiser again, draw an extra card. He's gonna move back the Yordle just to get out of harm's way. Yeah, like now is kind of like, this is why it's so important to get rid of the Kaisers, because if he just, like, if you allow him to keep conquering with them, he's just gonna get so much card advantage. And a Kaiser with a lot of cards in her hand is not what you want. Okay, he's gonna play out a Sentry and another Sentry and just pass turn with 3 energy up. We are gonna use the Udyr to, we're gonna use one of the abilities to stun the Kaiser this turn, and then we're gonna use the Lee Sin to rebuff him. And the Kaiser doesn't even deal damage this turn, so yeah, it's just pretty safe to attack in here. We're gonna get that point, and then we are gonna play out another Udyr. Yeah, like if both these Udyrs survive until next turn, then that's really good for us. We have a lot of stuff out. And then we do have the Defy for a potential removal spell. Like I could, like last turn, I could have used the Lee Sin to buff up the Udyr, but this turn I wanted to keep up the Defy, because now one Udyr is at a battlefield, so he is prone to a lot more removal spells than he was last turn. But in the end, that decision did not matter, because he does play the Icathian Rain. Now the Kaiser signature spell, to do this 6 times, deal 2 to a unit. So it's just 12 damage divided amongst 6 instances of damage. Which means, like, which would mean that these 2 Udyrs, like one of them would be safe, because they're at 13 might. But because one of our Udyr is at the Void Gate, like all those instances that hit that one is going to deal 1 extra damage. So he only needs 3 instances to get rid of both, which means he's just going to kill both of our Udyrs, completely deleting our board. The Defy can for sure not stop that. And yeah, that is just a huge tempo loss for us. And you know, that is just what happens sometimes. You play against these decks that has a lot of removal spells, and sometimes they just have the answers for everything. Yeah, but I guess that is why Kai'Sa is the back deck in the format as well. Yeah, Catherine Rain, just an insane card. Just an insane card. But yeah, he's gonna attack in, get 2 more points, and then yeah, for now, like the Teemo game, we don't have anything to ready. He does have battlefield, or we don't have anything that comes out ready. He has both battlefields. He's at 6 points. We can't really do anything from here. We can't come back. We can't contest the battlefields. He's just gonna get the holes when we pass his turn, and then he's just gonna win. So yeah, sometimes it just happens. You do develop a good board, and then your opponent just has the perfect answer. And yeah, that just happens sometimes. Okay, on to the last game. And for our final game, we are playing against Teemo again, trying to get a revenge. We kind of got blown out last time, so yeah, let's see if we can pull this one through. So we are running the Monastery of Harana this time, which is going to synergize really well with our deck, but doesn't really do anything for our opponent's deck. So yeah, that's not bad. Okay, let's see what happens. He is going to open up with a Sentry, and they're going to pass to us. We draw into a Discipline. We're going to play the Wielder of Water, which is a pretty nice start for us. That is kind of the ideal 1-drop, or the, I guess, 3-drop, but the turn 1 play on going second. He's going to attack with a Sentry, get the Zon Barons effect off to discard and draw 1, so it's just the same effect as the Traveling Merchant. And he's going to get 1 point. And then he's going to use the other 4 runes to play, and then it's going to play out a Ember Monk at the same battlefield. Okay. And then does he want to hide something? Maybe. Maybe he's considering it. I think with Teemo is like the Teemo allows you to just pay an energy instead of recycling one to hide a card. But if you are tapped out, you can still recycle on the hidden card. But it just feels extra bad in Teemo because you know you also have the ability to not do that. Okay, so he's gonna hide a card, and he's gonna pass to us. Yeah, so we're kind of going back and forth between this, but we are gonna try to buff up the Wielder of Water, and then try to see what he has on that battlefield, because we do have another Wielder, and we also have a Defy. And he only has that 1 hidden card up, so if that is something like, or something that could deal with our Wielder, at least if it's a spell, then we are still pretty safe. Because the Wielder is now a 6, and then it could potentially also grow to an 8. And then we are gonna use the Defy. Just because, I mean, we deny him both card draw, but then also the Ember Monk doesn't grow, because if the hidden card doesn't resolve, then it doesn't count as played, so the Ember Monk is not going to trigger off of that. So yeah, that is just going to be a 5 against 6. Really clean, just get rid of both of his units. Huge tempo swing for us. And yeah, we're really happy about this. And we're just going to take some time to buff up the Wielder of Water and then pass the turn. With no real reason to like keep up the discipline here. And then we realized that we have to use the ability, and we're going to get rid of 1 charm. We already have a charm in hand, and we probably don't need both of them. So yeah, we're just gonna get rid of 1. And then we draw into the the Sunlit Champion, which could be a good play next turn. Okay, it's gonna play out a Sneaky Deckhand. A very good card in purple, to just allow him to play up to an open battlefield, to just conquer immediately. And then it's gonna hide a card. Okay, we're gonna get 1 point for holding. Yep. Then we kind of have multiple lines of play here. Like we could play out the Lee Sin to start developing that. We could also just play out 2 little guys to start developing like a wider board instead of a taller board. Yeah, so there are some decisions that need to be made here. Yeah, then in the end I decided to just go for both the Sunlit and the other Wielder, and then just pull the second Wielder back, or the first Wielder I guess back, just to stay out of harm's way, and then we can reconquer next turn. And then now we are tapped out, and on the next turn we're going to be on 8 energy, which means we're going to be able to play the Udyr and potentially buff him up and use the Udyr ability to maybe deal 2 to something. And I think that is exactly what we're going to do. He's going to conquer with another sneaky deckhand. He had another one. And then he's also just going to develop one Watchful Sentry and one Ravenbloom Student. But now he is also tapped out, and he's only on 2 cards in hand. So this is a very good spot for us. This allows us to do many different things. But let's see what we decide to do here. So we decide to play out the Udyr, use the Lee Sin ability to buff up the Udyr, and then we can immediately use the ability to deal 2 to the sneaky deckhand that is on the battlefield with the hidden card. So again, just trying to deny our opponent value from the hidden cards by getting rid of the units on there before we have to engage in combat. Because if you didn't know, all the hidden cards on the battlefields can only target stuff on the battlefields. So I mean, in this case it didn't matter because it was only a unit, but if it was a spell, for example, then it could have only targeted his own guy in this case. Yeah, that's gonna come out. That's gonna be a 5, but our wielder, or it's gonna be a 4, I mean, because it's gonna get a +3 from the when it's played out from hidden, or when it's played out, and then the wielder is gonna be a 5 because of the buff. So that's just good. Just gonna let us clearly take care of that, and then we are gonna use the ability of Monastery to draw one as well. Draw into a Snapvine. That could be good for us later on. We're gonna go into and attack the other deckhand. Pretty easy kill there, and then we could go in with the Sunlit Champion as well, but I think we just want to keep it back just to kind of you know, try to play around him having like a smoke screen or something like that, and then kind of keeping it instead to kind of get back next turn if he manages to take both of those battlefields back. But he's gonna open with his stack deck, not a Nocturne yet again, and he's gonna play a Singularity. Yeah, so this is also a sideboarded game because we did play a best of 3, and in the sideboard he does play the Singularity. But now, like in this case, we have 4 targets, so you kind of has to make a decision there. I mean, the Udyr is going for sure, because that is, you know, the biggest unit and the biggest threat by far. So he's gonna take that, but he decides to go for the Sunlit Champion and the Udyr. And then maybe he has the ability to just get rid of the Watchers or the Wielders just through combat. He's gonna attack there, they're gonna trade, and then he's just gonna attack the other one with the Watchful Sentry and get 1 point. And then he's gonna pass to us. Now again, like, this is just a very good place where we can just play the Udyr, use the Lee Sin, buff up the Udyr, and then use the ability right away to just ping his guy off the board. Just really solid play, and we are gonna get 1 point for holding. Okay, he's gonna play out a Traveling Merchant and a Sprite Mother, my favorite card in the game. Okay, he's gonna get up the Sprite. Okay, he's gonna conquer the other one. That's fair enough. That also means that he probably doesn't have a like something like a smoke screen. Yep, and he just passed to us with 3 runes open. Yeah, like now at this point, like Teemo, he only has 2 cards in hand, so there's limited options to what he can do this turn or on his turn. And we have the Udyr out, which is just like, there were so many things we can do with that card. So yeah, that's what we decide to do here. So we're gonna just swing in with the Udyr, get rid of the Sprite. He didn't really have anything to deal with that. And then we can use the, we're gonna use the Monastery actually to spend the buff to draw 1. We're gonna draw into another Defy. So yeah, like this hand is like, we have 2 Charms, 1 Discipline, and 2 Defy, so we're pretty safe against, I mean, basically anything, except like a Riptide Rex. But if he has that, then, you know, we can't really do much about that. And then we are gonna take this time to play the Lee Sin. Like, you kinda wanna wait until the right moment to play the Lee Sin. Now, the scary thing here is that now both Udyr and Lee Sin are below 7, which means they can both get killed by a Singularity, which is pretty scary. We do have the Discipline, so we can save one of them, but I would like to have the buff on Udyr here as well, because then I can save both. Okay, we're gonna get to 7, or I'm gonna go to 7. I forgot to get the point from conquering there. And he's gonna play out the Watcher again. Okay, we've been here before. We've got blown out by Watcher more than once. But okay, he's gonna get that -3, and then the Watcher is gonna get a -1 because he's already only at 2. So the Watcher kinda, or not the Watcher, but the Wielder of the Water actually kinda plays around the Watcher, because he's a 2 and then he grows during combat, so he doesn't actually get affected that much by the ability. or the Watcher. But yeah, it's gonna attack with the Sprite Mother. We're gonna buff the Wielder up with the Discipline. Yep. Ground not to a 3, and then he's gonna get +2 from the zone effect, or the other way around, I guess. So he's gonna be at 5. We're gonna draw into a Clockwork Keeper, not really doing anything for us. And like this is just enough to, probably enough to win the game, because he has, like now we're gonna get rid of that one, and then he can't really attack in with a Traveling Merchant. And even if he has something like a Smoke Screen or some other spell, we just have the Defies to get rid of that as well. And then he can conquer one of the battlefields with the Watcher, but then the other one is just gonna remain ours, and then we just hold into the next turn and then probably win from there. So yeah, he's gonna play the Fight or Flight, and as I said, we did have the Defy to just counter that. Yeah, we're gonna kill that. He's gonna keep the buff from the Discipline, and then he just attacks into there or attacks into the Monastery to get rid of the Udyr. So just get to 7 points, but then he can't get rid of our Wielder of the Waters at the other battlefield, and we are just gonna hold into the next round to get our final point to win. So we did actually get a revenge against Teemo, and yeah, I mean, that is the thing. Like, if you can keep your board alive, like if you can keep stuff on board, the Lee Sin becomes very good, especially if you can keep cards like Udyr on board, because Udyr just deals with our opponent's stuff so efficiently. Like, we were able to survive both a Singularity and a Thousand-Tailed Watcher, just because we had a big enough board to do so, and then we also had, like, yeah, you kind of have to draw the correct cards. Like, we did have the Defies for the Fight or Flight, we had the Discipline to make our guy bigger, and then when you played the Singularity, we just had, like, 4 units on board. So yeah, I mean, there is definitely an element of luck playing Lee Sin nowadays, but if you do get lucky, you know, he can sneak some wins in, but yeah, against a lot of decks, he just gets out tempoed, unfortunately. Okay, and that is Lee Sin. Now, is he as bad as people say he is? I mean, he's not great. Like, the problem for him is that buffing units, it's such a small advantage by itself, and right now there doesn't really exist that many cards to synergize with this effect to kind of make him worth running instead of just playing Master Yi, which, I mean, Master Yi lists is very similar to these. Like, I mean, obviously you don't run the Udyrs, and you also don't run the Lee Sins. But yeah, for now, I think if you want to play these colors, just go Master Yi instead. But yeah, like the Udyr, like, this is kind of the cards I'm looking for this deck, like kind of cards that just hard synergize with buffs in general. And I really want to see more of those cards, and I'm really excited to see what we get in the next set and then the set after that to kind of make this legend stronger, because I think it is a really cool leader. He just doesn't have enough stuff to work with as it is now. So for now, if you want to play these colors, like I said, I think you just go Master Yi instead. But yeah, I mean, the green package, like Charm, Defy, and Discipline, it's still insane, you know? They're still just good cards. Challenge in this deck works really well, especially if you have the Lee Sin. So there are some synergies here. But the problem is, like you saw in those games, like, we really struggle to keep stuff alive. And that is why we do run the triple Zani's Hourglass and also the triple Defy. Just because we need, and also the Discipline, we need to keep our stuff alive. Like, if the Udyr gets removed, like we got blown out by, both of our Udyrs got removed in one turn, and that we just lose the game on the spot there. So yeah, like, if you don't draw either the Zani's Hourglass or the Defies, you are in pretty rough shape, especially against this meta where Kai'Sa is everywhere. And I mean, we do play the Kiana, which, I mean, Kiana didn't get to do much in these games we played today. But a Kiana with a Zani's Hourglass is so annoying for Kai'Sa to deal with, especially if you have cards to support that, like Discipline, to kind of make them spend another card to get rid of the Kiana. I mean, that's really good. But, I mean, that is still one card against the whole deck. So, yeah, like, for now, I think, and like, I think also the Wielder Water is just a good card in this deck, just to kind of have some good power or good might early on. But yeah, like, for now, he just doesn't have enough tools to work with him. But I think, like, I could see this deck getting really good in the future. But for now, there's just not enough. There's not enough reason for you to play him over Mastery or just anything else. But yeah, hopefully he gets better in the future. Anyways, that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the games and the deck tech. Please let me know if you have any suggestions to things I can do to improve these videos. I'm kind of just going off by what I'm feeling in the moment. So yeah, I would really appreciate some feedback. But until then, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.